Welcome everybody. From Biel, the 55th International Chess Festival has reached another day in this beautiful, very sunny Bienne city of Switzerland. And we are witnessing the 55th International Chess Festival, which features many amazing tournaments. I mean, in total, there's at least 15 tournaments, and one of the major, one of the biggest tournaments, of course, that we will be following so far here is the GMT or the Grandmaster Triathlon. So today there's a rest day for the triathlon tournament players. So the GMT tournament today doesn't play. The players are enjoying the rest day. However, we are going to do a shorter coverage for the MTO. Also, Angelika today is taking a short break. So tomorrow, Angelika Volkova also will be back with us here in the live stream following the round 4 of the GMT. Before we tune into the games, maybe let's again check what is the Biel Chess Festival all about. So here we go. You see there's 3 kinds of tournaments here in Biel. It's the closed tournaments, the Grandmaster Triathlon. Accentus Chess 960 actually is a part of the triathlon, but it serves as a tiebreak in case there's a tie. There's also ladies Accentus Quadriathlon. Then we have several Swiss championships, the Rapid Fischer Random Championship, Blitz Rapid Junior Championships final, determining the best Swiss young players. Also, we have open tournaments, the most notably MTO, which is one of the strongest open tournaments in Europe and perhaps also in the world. Also, I think it's quite important to mention here that among the previous year's winners, we have the former World Championship challenger Fabiana Caruana, and of course the reigning world champion Magnus Carlsen, who won the previous editions of the GMT. Also, some chess legends like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. You see the one of the strongest female players of all times, who you found from China, Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, and of course last year's winner Gada Kamsky from United States, who is back here trying to defend his title. Also, the MTO Open Tournament has a lot of winners, amazing names here among the list. So you see last year's winner also is here, Salem Saleh. This year, he is playing in the GMT. About the MTO, so as already promised, today we are specifically going to focus on the MTO tournament. So here you see the top 10 seeded players, and the lineup is really, really impressive. So we have Yu Yangyi, Kirill Alexeyenko, who in the previous, not the current, but previous candidate cycle was playing in the FIDE Candidates tournament, trying to challenge the reigning world champion Magnus Carlsen, Vladimir Fedoseev, and a lot of great players. All of them are over ELO 2600. So what we are going to do here, perhaps let's very quickly check some of the ongoing years of round 5, but I think I have to mention that the MTO or the Masters tournament, it is played with 9 rounds. There is a slightly different time control. So in parallel to the GMT, this is an open tournament, unlike the GMT, which is closed tournament only for 8 players. And on top of those top invited, very strong grandmasters, we have many, many strong players. There's basically a huge army of Indian players, very strong players. And actually, I think it was after round 4, the top 7 players were from India. So incredibly strong lineup. And after round 4, we had just sole one leader, the Grandmaster Visak from India, and today he is playing against Shan Sargsyan. The game already is finished because we're already starting in the games, so we are going to look at those games. But I see there is one interesting game which caught my eye, and I see that we might see upset in the making. So what I'm talking about one of the most interesting games of the round, which is Haik Martirosyan, one of the strongest Armenian grandmasters, also widely regarded for his rapid speed skills, against Kasa Karli. So Kasa Karli is an international master. He's here. He's playing in Biel. Hopefully, we could have him later here with us in the live studio, tell a bit about his experiences, how it is to play in Biel, Switzerland, and what are his latest ambitions and projects. And here he's playing with black. So perhaps what I could do here, look at from the black's perspective, and see, and see how it goes for Casacarli. So after c4, e6, knight f3, a6. This is a line which I really can recommend myself because this is the Janovsky variation, which recently I started to play myself. Really interesting line. But mainly the idea is to threaten to take on c4 and try to hold on to the pawn with moves like b5, bishop b7. And the white here has naturally many choices. I mean, he can take on d5 and try to prove that the last move a6 is not really good. There's also the move c5, again trying to underline the sort of meaningless move of last black's move a6. So here Martirosyan took on d5. C takes, knight c3. Knight f6, yeah, this is a playable move. Again, slightly the position jumped, but here, as far as I know, c6 is one of the core ideas for black, and the idea that black tries to play bishop d6, knight e7, and put out a Lasca bishop on f5. Knight f6 should be still playable. Bishop e6, queen b3. White immediately tries to get to the pawn on b7, and knight e7 is a very common pawn sacrifice. e3, white decided it's too dangerous to take it. Bishop d6, short castle, very original idea by Casacarli, queen b8, defending the pawn on b7 and threatening to play c5. Bishop f4 was chosen by the Armenian grandmaster. I think it makes sense because black's Daxwa bishop is one of the strongest pieces here. After c6, bishop d6, queen d6, it probably feels that white is slightly better due to the better bishop here on d3, but the advantage is not much. However, something happened here in this game, and I'm also eager to find out what exactly it was, because black somehow managed to turn around the game. Rook c8, rook c7, rook e8. I guess Casa here is toying with two ideas. Perhaps think about ideas like knight e4, maybe c5, knight c5. So this rook on c7 is positioned really tricky. b4, white usually tries to play a4, b5, establish a weakness on c6. Knight e5, knight e7, so black gets rid of the knight on e5. f4, f6. Actually, you know, this f4 feels to be very committal move from the white's perspective. Now, white has to move with the knight away. And now, this pawn on e3 is a weakness, right? Because you have to defend it, and if you push forward, then white has a weakness on d4. So actually, it feels a bit strange, right? I felt that white was trying this queenside initiative with a4, b4, b5, and now suddenly he's changed his mind. So let's go to the current position. Now black was pressing on the pawn on e3, knight b6, a great move, getting a very nice outpost on c4, knight c8, knight e6 is a very common idea for the so-called cusp structure. G takes, of course. Black keeps control of the g5 and e5 square, and black just makes all the logical moves. So here you already see that something is slightly wrong with white's position, right? So he has weaknesses on e4, weaknesses on c4. So knight e2, bishop d3, traded a couple of pieces, and slowly but carefully black continues to improve his pieces. So I guess the only chance that white really has is go for a successful kingside attack. Rook e7, knight c4. Now you already can start to appreciate that black has a very serious pressure on the pawn on e3. e4, knight e2. I wonder if this was missed by the Armenian grandmaster. Very nice trick. Attacking the queen, attacking the pawn. Queen g2, take it. And queen c7. Yeah, very interesting move. I mean, not really sure why. Wait. D takes on e4 is rook takes on e4. This must have been Martirosyan's idea, because after rook e4, queen takes on g7 would be mate on the board. So here, maybe this is what Martirosyan actually missed, because now after queen c7, now white cannot move away with the knight, right? Because if the knight goes away, black takes on e1 twice, and you see this queen on c7 is protecting the knight. So the queen on c7 protects the knight on g7, but also is looking at the pawn on f4. All of this happened after queen c7, queen g4, rook takes on e4. Black essentially is up a pawn, and after knight g2, f5, this is what we call already probably strategically winning position for black. So this might be a huge result in the making for the MTO Open Tournament. Right, so Casa could score a major upset in the MTO, one of the strongest open tournaments in Europe. Let's move on, and I think we also need to check some of the leader games. Most notably, what I see is that the sole leader of the tournament, Visak from India, he has played a draw against Shan Sargsyan. So how did that happen? Visak was playing here with white. But actually, you know what is really, really impressive about Visak? I mean, he's, merely rated 2503, but in round 3, he beat Kirill Shevchenko, 2650 level player, with black in a very impressive style. We had a game in the studio. And then the 4th round, another major result, and again with black, right? This time, he beat another 2600 player, Abhimanyu Puranik, his countryman from India. I mean, really impressive result. Visak is doing some fantastic chess here in Biel. So in this game, they played a draw. So maybe let's check how the leader game progressed. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, g3. Yeah, g3, this is usually, I can tell it from my own experience, trying to stop black from playing any queens Indian, right? Because, for example, if you play the casual way, you play knight f3, then black sometimes plays b6. And after b6, g3, this is what we call the so-called queens Indian, with the idea is to play either bishop b7 or bishop a6. I mean, both of these moves are completely playable. So the idea of this g3 is that now b6 is not very good, right? Because after b6, of course, white plays bishop g2, and black is not in time to play bishop b7, but d5 in this position is not very good, at least according to the modern theory. So either way, g3, bishop b4 check was played, bishop d2 looks very normal, a5, bishop g2, d5. So suddenly the game switches to the Catalan. Really interesting choice. Knight f3, castle, queen c2, white, just in case, protects the pawn on c4, c5, very aggressive response by Shan Sargsyan, c takes, a3, take it, queen d2, and position inevitably led to the arising setup. So white has seemingly achieved a great position because the knight on d4 is a great outpost. Black has a weakness, potential weakness on d5, and it can be targeted, but unfortunately, perhaps for white, black has a pretty easy game. So think about almost like knight c6, queen b6, bishop g4, rook e8, and of course, white is enjoying this pressure on d5, but maybe it's just not enough. So knight e4 was played here by Sargsyan. Bishop e4, very interesting choice by Visak. He decided that his knights are going to be better pieces. Knight c3, knight c6, long castle. So what white is saying here, he's saying that you can trade a couple of pieces on d4. It's not going to be enough because white has the beautiful knight and a good control of some of the dark squares. So queen b6 happened, queen e3, now we saw some trades, and here Sargsyan decided to sacrifice a pawn. He played queen b3. So he sees that this king is weak, and I guess something like queen takes on d4, rook takes on d4, and f5. I mean, white should be better, right? Think about something like rook d1, bishop e6, rook d6, rook d4, e3, h4, and pretty much all of the dark squares belong to white. So that's why Sargsyan here played queen b3, queen d5, queen b6, and white did not find anything better then to repeat the position. Attack the queen, queen b3, queen h6, my apologies, queen e3, queen a6, queen c5, and they found a very interesting, odd way to repeat the game. So unlike the GMT, you can agree to a draw. There's no Sophia rule. Once again, if you are a guest in the previous days of the GMT, the main event of the Biel Chess Festival, it has the so-called Sophia rule, which is you cannot agree to a draw before 40th move. Here in the MTO, you can do that, right? I mean, there's the threat repetition, of course, which immediately forces a draw. It's not required. So what does it mean? It means that Bisak has finished his game in a draw, and at least after this round, he should remain in the shared first place of the tournament. If nobody else from the closest followers are going to win their games. All right, I think what we are going to do is we are going to check every single game one after another, what is happening at the leaderboards. There's a lot of action again. To tell you, I'm not really sure what's the strongest tournament, right? Is it the GMT or MTO? Because you already saw the MTO lineup. It's really, really impressive. I mean, there's players over 2,700. There's the former FIDE candidates player, Kirill Alexeyenko, who, by the way, is not doing so great so far. Albeit he stands 3 points out of 4, but he suffered a devastating loss, which I believe it was in round 2 against another Indian player. So let's move on, and I'll try to bring up Alexander Motylyov's game against, where is he? Against Ganguly. So Surya Shekhar Ganguly, he was a guest with us a couple of days ago. Now I try to remember when was this? Yesterday, or the day before? Yesterday doesn't matter. He had a lot of very interesting insights to share with us. So Ganguly already has played a draw. About Alexander Motylyov, he is really experienced chess coach, and as it was revealed in the one of the post-game interviews by Andrei Yesipenko, he's coaching him. So he's coaching him. Motylyov is Yesipenko's coach. He's here helping him and also himself practicing an MTO tournament. So c4, c6, knight f3, d5, e3. Yeah, really interesting choice by Ganguly, who is widely regarded as a chess theoretician. So the idea of e3 is that white is not rushing to play d4, which is, of course, one of the main continuations of this position. And the reason is that, of course, you always want to position the center as many points as you can so that you're fighting for the critical squares. But if you were following the rapid tournament of the GMT, also some of the blitz games, we saw some very interesting ideas. For example, b3, bishop e2, queen c2, and sometimes not black, but white. White goes for a very inspired king's attack with g4, g5, if the black knight is on f6, sacrificing the pawn on g4. It really depends on the occasion, but that's one of the features, having the bishop on d2, not closed by the pawn on d4. So after knight f6, knight c3, knight e7. Here, since black is threatening with e5, grab the center, Ganguly decided to play d4. d4, e6, bishop e2. So this was played in Ganguly's game. Just a second, let me try to find it also here. Where is this? Just a second, there you go. Right, found it? No, that's not it. Oh, okay, I think this is it, yeah. All right, so here after bishop d6, the position entered in some Miran structures of the Slav. All of this has been analyzed many times. So like I already said, Ganguly is widely regarded as a chess theoretician. Castle b6, b3, all of this makes perfect sense. Bishop d3, this is a little curious move because I would have expected something like queen c2, e4 to be played because white often tries to make a breakthrough in the center. For example, think about moves like queen c2, let's say black plays something like rook c8, e4, d takes. Sometimes there's knight g5, but that's the idea. That's the general idea. Now after queen takes on e4, white claims the center, and black usually tries to destroy it with moves like knight f6. You position the queen on h4, maybe on c2, depends on the occasion, and then black plays c5. And if no tactics work, then he is enjoying a good game. So that's why this bishop d3 is slightly mysterious move to me, because white, again, we go back to this position, right? White played bishop e2 first, not bishop d3. There must be a reason. So after b3, bishop b2, now bishop d3, white seemingly is threatening e4. I guess the idea is to play queen e2, e4, and after the trades, put the queen on e4 so that the pawn on h7 is immediately under attack. Rook e8, which is normal. You know, actually, it's really interesting because here, black needs to make a very big decision about the c5, and not necessarily this is good. For example, c5, you can take on d5, and after something like knight e5, knight e5, bishop d5, e4, white has very good bishops. For example, here, think about ideas like, not really sure to be honest, but might be something like e5, queen e2, bishop e4, and space advantage belongs to white. And the point is, if black plays e takes on d5, at some point, white might take these pawns and then target them. Think about, again, moves like rook c1, knight a4, queen e2, or maybe rook c1, rook e1, and play e4. Trade those pawns, and then the pawn on c5 is a weakness. I mean, this is, of course, a lot of theory, and I guess that's also the reason why Motylev decided not to do it. a4, a6, a5, temporarily sacrificing a pawn, but the big idea, of course, is gain access to the c5 square. So, for example, b takes, I guess the idea is to play c5, and then snatch this pawn, essentially leaving black with a weakness on a6. That's why here Motylev played b5, c5, bishop c7, and b4. And now after e5, I mean, black is perhaps slightly suffering because this bishop here on b7 is not doing anything, but I don't think it's going to be stuck there for long. They trade a couple of pieces, d takes, bishop e5, rook b1. White is thinking about the idea to play knight e2, trade the darks with bishops, and play knight e4. So for example, let's say black does something like h6. Let's say h6, knight e2, let's say black takes it, he plays bishop c8, knight e4, bishop g4, and for example, queen c2. I'm not really sure how accurate is this, but the idea is that black is slightly suffering because of this last square bishop. You look at this bishop, and you try to figure out where to position it. I mean, you want to trade it, but white is not going to trade it. In addition, there's the pawn on c6 under attack, which makes a prime target. So white might play moves like h3, push away the bishop. Bishop g6 is not really possible because that costs a pawn. So in the end, let's say if black is forced to play something passive like bishop e6, this is clearly a better position for white because he has the better pieces and pretty much the entire king side belongs to white. So I guess that's the idea. That was Ganguly's idea, why he went for this. After this entire sequence of e5, he accepted the trade. He is preparing knight e2. And now the point after bishop c8 is, I don't think he was really happy now to play knight e2. Because again, remember the idea, right? I mean, chess very often is logical. So the big point is that after knight e2, black can take, and bishop g4. Right? So again, you need to watch out if this f3 idea works, because the pawn on e3 might be under attack. Plus, in addition, maybe there's some tactical ideas like sacrifice on h2, knight g4, and queen h4, which is also one of the core ideas I think it was called the Greek gift, right? The Greek gift, sacrifice the pawn on h2, knight g4, queen h4, and king g3, queen g5, or h5 should be a strong attack for black. So that's why Ganguly here played h3. He stopped any ideas to sacrifice on h2. He stopped bishop g4. Now bishop b8. Motolyov decided to go for a counterattack, try to checkmate white. Knight e2. Knight e4. Knight f4. Actually, this is a bit strange, right? This knight f4 move. I thought the knight is going to d4. For some reason, he didn't like it. I can only guess what. I mean, maybe Ganguly felt that there might be some sort of unpleasant attack at the king side. So what we're talking about some sacrifice on h3. So take it, maybe later rook e5, rook g5. And if you look at this position, it's quite obvious that black has a lot of pieces directed at a king side attack. And when you see this position from afar, for white, you start to get really concerned. So I guess that's why Ganguly played knight f4. The idea is to close the bishop. The engine doesn't really like it. I mean, to be honest, also visually it doesn't really look great because the knight should be on d4. Queen g5, rook e1. Now, I guess the pawn on f4 cannot be taken. Take, queen f4, and there should be something like f3. So black is, despite the fact that he keeps his extra pawn, white has a very powerful dark square bishop. Maybe it was playable, right? So white looks very active. Think about moves like queen c2, rook e1, but I would imagine that white definitely has a full compensation for the pawn. So what happened here is that Motolyov decided to trade his bad bishop, bishop f5, because again, remember, this bishop is on the color as the most of black's pawns. So you want to trade it. Queen c2, now Motolyov decided to take the pawn. Queen f4 and rook e3. So white is slightly suffering, but he is hoping to survive because he has this powerful dark square bishop. So I would say that black was pretty close. He was pretty close to score a victory here with black because the more we look at the position, it becomes quite unclear where exactly lies white's compensation, because I think black should play something like knight g5, knight e6, trade the bishops, and essentially try to leave white with the dark square bishop, which is staring at his own pawns, at least in theory. Rook e1, knight f6. I don't really like this move. Why not? Yeah, why not? Knight g5 is impossible, obviously, because the rook is under attack. Right, that's why knight f6. Queen d2, and suddenly white became very active. So g3, queen h6, take it on f6, g takes, take it, and queen d4. So after a couple of trades, black keeps his pawns, but white is very, very active. So rook e6 is a threat, queen f6 is a threat. Black cannot give up the e-file just to protect the pawn. For example, take it, queen g7 looks very risky for black because despite the fact that black is up a pawn, you see this rook on the 7th rank, queen f4, queen c7, if the c6 pawn falls, the d5 pawn falls, so black is not doing great. And that's why here g5 was played. I mean, this actually happened. Yeah, rook e3 happened. I'm sorry, let me go back a couple of moves. So this happened, g5 was played, rook e7, king f8, rook e8, black went for a counterattack, and after a couple of moves, the game was agreed to a draw. I mean, I'm not really sure where exactly is the draw, because already it feels that, white is doing all right. He wants to take on a6, give a check, and push the a-pawn to the queen. So maybe there was some kind of a perpetual check idea, but I don't see it, to be honest. For example, check here. something like queen g6 because the queen is completely shut off from the game. Right, so how do you stop this queen b1? Not really sure. So for example, queen f3, queen b1, rook g1 already seems to be a threat. Take it, rook h1. Not sure, right? I mean, this seemingly is a draw, but I would have continued. I would have continued the game. But either way, the game is still equal. So at least according to the engines, so after rook a7, Ganguly felt that the worst is behind him, so he offered the draw. There's, by the way, yeah, there are viewers who are watching. You're wondering where is Angelica? She took a rest day today. I gave it to her so that she can come back tomorrow rested, so don't worry. Angelica is coming back tomorrow. I mean, mainly the reason is that today we have a shorter day, right? We just started the coverage, and that's why I pretty much volunteered to do it alone, right? So also allow Angelica, like all of the GMT players, to have their well-deserved rest so that tomorrow we are coming back with a lot more energy for the GMT tournament. So the second round, the second game of the MTO round 5 is also finished in a draw. So maybe let's move on with the board 3. Anand Pranav is playing against SP Sitaraman, an Indian duel. Let me try to find that game. There they are, and it's still ongoing. It's still ongoing, so let me go back perhaps from the start. So it appears to be, unless I, just a second, let me try to validate the final position. It seems to be ongoing. All right, so 40 moves can be made. If I'm not terribly mistaken, the time control in the MTO is as usual, like in most of the open tournaments, which is 1.5 hours for the first 40 moves. And then until the rest of the game, 30 moves, 30 minutes, but of course also additional 30 seconds per every made move. So it is actually less. It is less if you compare with the GMT tournament. Time control in the GMT, there's 100 minutes or 10 minutes more. And after the first time control, the players get additional not 30 minutes, but 50. That's 20 minutes more. And then after move 60, there's another 50 minutes more. So either way, no matter how you look, the GMT games always finish last. And also that's what we saw in the Saturday game, one of the latest games of the round when Salem Salek was fighting out his rook endgame against Gata Kamsky. That was a rook endgame. The game lasted 6 hours. And here in the MTO, I would say on average, the games last 4 hours. So if it starts 2 p.m., normally 6 p.m. should be when they are about to finish. So now we are approaching about time trouble. Maybe already some of the games have reached the second time control. And then you get, of course, additional 30 minutes, and you're trying to figure it out. All right. Let's review once again what happened here. So Pranav Anand with a very famous name. Actually, it's quite curious because Anand, as far as I know, is a first name in India. So Vishy Anand, if I'm not terribly mistaken, Vishwanathan is the last name and Anand is the first name, but at some point they changed it because everybody was calling him Vishy Anand, but Vishy technically is the last name as far as I know. Also, actually today, I found out that Domaraju Gukesh is his first name and Domaraju is the last name. So it's very often with the Indian first names and last names, it's the other way as we Europeans, we are getting used to. So, to the mentioned game, Anand, Pranav against Rahman. Again, G3. Yeah, this appears to be interesting common recipe against E6 setup, I guess, directed against B6. C5. Yeah, C5, about this move. Just a second. I think this is slightly, the small board is, I just noticed. Just a second, let me try to fix that. Just a second. Fixed. All right. All right. So Pranav's game, I think, is still ongoing. Maybe. Yeah, what I shouldn't do here is just a second. Let me try to figure it out. Oh, sorry. Something happened there. I just wanted to remove this thing. All right, let me try to fix it. Give me a moment. I don't think it's such a good idea to see the bar, right? All right. Here we go. Oh. Not really great, but I hope you can see. Right. So this is the live position of Pranav against Roman. So let's review what was played here. And C5, the Benoni. The idea is that the common understanding from the black's perspective is that if white plays G3, then the Benoni after D5 is one of the least dangerous systems. So what I'm talking about, what's Benoni, right? For example, if white plays knight f3, then after c5, d5, takes, d6, knight c3, g6. This is the Benoni, the modern Benoni setup. And the common belief is that here after c5, d5, white has already committed himself to g3. And that's why this approach is considered to be not the best, because white is still sometimes thinking about knight c3 on e4, but with the bishop on g2, he has less control of the c4 square, but still it's definitely playable. So this was played, bishop g2, here, knight f3, castle, rook e8, bishop f4. Now, quite typically for the modern Benoni structures, white goes after the pawn on d6, so think about ideas like knight d2, knight c4. And I just will go very quickly to the final position. And the game suddenly got pretty sharp. So black played very aggressively at the king side. Knight b5, the pawn on d6 is weak. Knight e4, some pawns were traded, knight e6. By the way, this pawn trade on e4 and on d6 is a very, very common idea. And b3. Very, very interesting stuff. You know, to be honest, I think what we're going to do, I got some information that there's some stuff upcoming. So what we're going to do is, at the moment, I'm going to make a very short break. But this is something that I would like to follow more closely, because I don't think I can give such a very quick expertise so quickly here. h4, g4, bishop g6, incredibly sharp game, as it is quite common for Indian players. But what we're going to do, I promise, we are going to make a very, very short break. Give me a moment, and I'll be back in something like 5 minutes, right? So I'll be back in 5 minutes with the action. I'll continue, resume. I'll continue the commentary of the MTO, because today the GMT tournament is not being played, but we are following the round 5 of MTO, as you're seeing in this overview camera. The players in the background, they're playing. In the distance, you can see the ladies. Also, these 4 red boards. And yep, see you in 5 minutes. Hope you like it. Hope you have a great day so far. Don't go anywhere. And the commentary from the Biel MTO tournament round 5 is going to resume very shortly. Welcome back. Apologize for the short break. We had to sort out a couple of things. So the action from the 55th International Biel Chess Festival is still underway. And I tried to do a very, very fast recap of what happened in one of the central rounds of round 5 of MTO. But I couldn't figure it out, so that's why I immediately made a break. And I would like to return to this game right now. But in case you just joined the coverage, you don't know what all of this is, what's this all about. So this is the 55th International Biel Chess Festival, and this is the lineup. This is the top 10 players of the MTO Open Tournament. Once again, we have how many? I mean, 2 players over 2,700. Fedoseev, Martirosyan, Sargsyan, they're top 5. Kirill Shevchenko, one of the rising Ukrainian chess stars. Also, we see some former GMT players like Maxime Lagarde, who was playing in the GMT tournament last year, and also, of course, Roman, a well-known Indian grandmaster. He is in top 10, well above 2,600. So let's jump in, and now we are going to be following Roman's game as you see him here, and he is slightly suffering against his countryman Anand Pranav. So that's the playing venue. I mean, I have the possibility, of course, to zoom the window. I mean, the camera, pan it left and right. I'm not sure if that's going to be any good because I have no clue exactly at which corner the players are playing. But at least you have a very good view on the playing venue. There's, like I already said, 15 tournaments in total. Every single there's several tournaments running. There's a lot of youth tournaments and yeah, so a lot of exciting action of almost 2 weeks here in Biel. So we left it by finding it out that this is a very interesting Benoni structure, and after bishop f5, h4. Yeah, so g5 already, maybe we have to start with this move. g5 is challenging white because now you see that white is thinking about playing knight b5 and going after the pawn on d6. Perhaps also think about ideas like e4, e5. I'm not really sure why knight b5 is not very good. I guess maybe because of sometimes there's some ideas like g5, right? I mean, bishop takes it, and yeah, knight e4. This is one of the common tricks in the Benoni. So the bishop on d6 is under attack. There's bishop b2 ideas. There's bishop d7 ideas. Sometimes queen a5. Either way, that's why white played rook e1 to play e4, grab space, and black immediately pushed away the bishop d2, and played bishop f5, not to allow white to play e4. So you see that these grandmasters, they're playing really logical chess. So what white did, white changed his approach. Instead, he started to push this pawn on g5, g4, knight h2, bishop g6, e4. So white continues with his idea, h5, bishop f4. Now the bishop is back, remember, right? So black wasted a couple of tempos to play g5, g4. However, now he has positioned the bishop on g6, and this bishop on g6 is attacking the pawn on e4. So any knight b5 ideas, now white needs to already figure out what's going to happen with the pawn on e4. So actually this happened, so we already saw a couple of moves a couple of minutes ago. c4 is a very common idea in the Benoni because black is thinking about knight c5, knight e3, also attacking the pawn on e4. Knight b5. White decided that this threat of knight c5, knight e3 is too much, and that's why he traded the pawn on e4 for the pawn on d6. Bishop e4. Yeah, otherwise the pawn on d6 is protected. I mean, you have to play that. Bishop e4, rook e4, rook e4, bishop e4, knight e6, and bishop d3. So when we look at this position, I would say that white's position is dangerous, really dangerous. So something clearly went wrong for Pranav, who entered this position after the playing g3 and was forced to play the modern Benoni structure. Now here the bishop on d3 is a very powerful piece. Also, black is threatening to play a bishop takes on b2. However, something happened here. And now after b3, I guess the idea that white had, he wanted to sacrifice the exchange. And I think it's quite risky for black to accept it. For example, bishop a1, queen a1. Look at this king, right? This king is pretty weak. So for example, I don't know what you're supposed to do here. Let's say the pawn on c4 is under attack. C takes, A takes, maybe it's difficult to tell again, maybe something like knight c5, could be queen d4, put the bishop here on c3 or c1, b2, alternative route. And perhaps this king is not feeling so secure, right? So all of this, somehow, also this knight might be rerouted to c4, e5. All of this probably was evaluated by Saturn as a risky choice. So that's why here after b3, he played a knight b4. I mean, counterattacking the pawn on d5. B takes, bishop c2, queen d2, and now he took it. So once again, let's follow a little while. Why bishop c2 was important? Let's say if I try to play queen here, I'm not really sure, to be honest. Maybe the trick is something like queen f6. Yeah, maybe this is the idea, right? I mean, after queen f6, black doesn't take on a1. However, he includes the queen. And then he wants to take on a1. And if white plays rook e1, then just take it, and the bishop on g7 is still protecting the king. At least I think I understand Saturn-Roman's mindset. So after queen e1 or queen c1, queen f6 could be a problem. Queen f1, maybe knight e3. So again, you see that white rook cannot go anywhere. Queen f6 is still a threat. Also, knight f4, queen h4 ideas start to appear under the horizon. I mean, either way, the game is incredibly complex. Right, that part is clear. And here after queen d2, bishop a1, queen b4, it appeared to be that black should be close to winning. Why is this? Because he has an exchange for a pawn. However, I mean, the king is pretty secure. You can always position the bishops here on g6 and on g7. The white knight on h2 is not doing anything. However, what we saw in the end, the final position after the first time control, it was anything but clear. So let's just go see what happened. Queen b6 is natural move. You want to trade queens. Here, rook e8, very natural move, including more pieces in the game. Queen g6. That's a bit strange move, to be honest. I don't understand. I guess the idea is to play queen d3, but why not bishop g6, right? Bishop g6, protect the king. Maybe here Saturn felt that this pawn is going to be too strong. d6, d7, bishop g5, or maybe even bishop c7. I guess so. That was the idea, that he evaluated that this d pawn is going to be very strong. So apparently here black had a very good move. He had to play a6, and the idea that there is no knight e6 due to a check, and rook e1. This I checked with the engine, right? I mean, I can honestly confess, right? I saw that a6 is recommended by an engine. Either way, even visually looking, it's already quite obvious that black is doing great, and still something happened here. Queen g6, knight c7. Now white is threatening to push forward d pawn. Rook e4. So you see, despite the fact that black is up an exchange for a pawn, he's still going very aggressive. So again, you cannot take the bishop on c2. There's going to be a check on e1, right? The queen on c2 is lost by discovered check. Also, black is threatened with some rook d4 ideas or rook c4 ideas. So bishop e3 was played, rook takes on c4, d6, bishop e5. The idea is that d7 is not going anywhere, and it looks just Saturn is winning. That was happening. So here after bishop e5, knight e8, again the question is, how do you stop d7, d8? Bishop a4 was played, and after d7, he simply gave up a piece. To be honest, it's not very clear if black had to do that. Right. Again, quite difficult to understand what exactly black is supposed to do against these d7, d8. Saturn didn't find anything else. He gave up the piece, and now we have a rook and a pawn for two minor pieces. The knight on h2 is not doing much. So king h7 was played. Queen e7. Now the bishop here is under attack. Rook e4. Queen b7. And somehow black's position started slowly to fall apart. Now it's just two minor pieces for the rook. Queen d5, queen g8, they repeat the position. Bishop c3, knight e6. And that's when they entered the second time control. And actually, yeah, now that I remember when I had the first time a glance on this position, I realized that I thought it's about material equality. Then I noticed it's actually two minor pieces for white against the rook. So this is the current position, and yeah, definitely white appears to be doing great because he has, again, two minor pieces for the rook. The black king is exposed, and I would say quite unfortunate for Rahman because, I mean, he was playing a wonderful game, and again, this entire idea, I mean, we go back. This entire idea to first allure your opponent in the Benoni. Why is this? Because after c5, basically there's no other strong move. If your opponent plays c5, d5 is the strongest move in the position. I mean, you have to play it, otherwise black just gets an excellent position. I mean, that's in a nutshell the idea that you have to accept the Benoni. And then this very interesting idea of rook e8, h6, g5, bishop f5, and white at some point simply lost the game thread. So he put back the bishop here, and after c4, knight c5 is already such a dynamic, strong idea that white just got in a lot of trouble. However, he was able to turn around the tables, and now, right, this is what I have. This is what I have. Very, very exciting game. And I mean, it's actually not a big surprise that you watch two Indian players play against each other. Stuff like this happens a lot. So that is the game number 3. Maybe let's check how he's doing Kassa Curley, because we were witnessing his game, and maybe there's an upset in the making again. So Kassa is playing with black against one of the top-seeded players, Haik Barceresian. And a couple of moves ago, he just had an extra pawn, right? So he played a wonderful sequence. Again, let me check it from the black's perspective. Just an extra pawn. White's position is in shambles. Queen c4, queen d6, queen c3, h6. I mean, you still need to win the position. Not easy. Knight e6, knight h4, and knight x on d4. Wait. So, as far as I understand, that queen x on f5 cannot be played, right? Queen x on f4, it cannot be played. There's a fork on g6. So how do you stop that? So white is threading knight f5. White is threading some knight g6, knight e5 ideas. My natural reaction, it should be rook g8, right? That's what I'm thinking. But it should be something like along the ways of rook g8. So if the white queen goes away, I snatch the pawn on f4. So if white plays knight f5, queen f4, knight f4, and I have a feeling that this pawn on h6 doesn't really matter at all, because knight h6, I give a check, and somehow this position should be winning for black. I mean, e3, e2, rook f2, knight a3 perhaps. No, this should be totally winning for black. So maybe the big point is that white is not obliged to do it, and he plays something like rook e1. Maybe that's the defense. But again, I mean, I find it difficult to imagine that this is not winning. For example, something like a check here, and there's a lot of moves. I mean, maybe just rook e2. Maybe white is somehow trying to escape this, but with knight h6, knight e4, but black still keeps his extra pawn. I mean, that's my thought process. So what happened here is that black took on d4. I mean, he saw a pawn, he took a pawn. However, this also creates a pin. This creates a pin, right? And I don't think you want to enter it. Knight f5, queen f6, knight e4, rook d4. So this is what happened in the game. And yeah, now the question what happens, there's no queen c3, is there? Just a second. Is there queen c3? Not really sure. No, queen c3 was played. Queen c3 was played. I tried to figure out what this is because I saw a check on f4, but after king h1, the rook is lost. So you couldn't do that. I mean, there's no check. I just take on f3. Actually, quite unfortunate for black. There's no intermezzo check on the d1 because the queen on f3 also guards the d1 square. So this is quite unfortunate for Casa. So here, rook d6 was played, and after queen f6, rook f6, this already looks quite drawish because let's say I play rook d7. Now, white's very active. And again, you need to. I mean, definitely black is pushing. Definitely black is pushing. But suddenly I have a feeling that here after rook f6, white has some chances. For example, maybe just king g3. King g3, rook d7. If white manages to put the king on e3, he can even play very optimistically. I mean, when we visually look at the position, black still has an extra pawn. But these two pawns, they're stopping it. Right? So, yeah, definitely something went wrong here for Casa. So we are going to perhaps check it in a while and see if he'll manage to win the game. But at the moment, I would say that it looks more likely the game's going to finish in a draw. So king g7 is played. All right, let's continue following other games. And I see game number 4 in the list is Aryan Chopra was playing with white against one of the youngest Indian chess talents, Luke Mendonca. Let's follow how did it happen. He already won the game with white. Advanced Karakan. All right. And at the moment, actually, this is the 4th table. So it means that Visak played a draw in the first round against Shan Sargsyan. That means Visak is in the first place. Ganguly against Motolyov was a draw. This means they don't catch the leader. Pranav Anand appears to be winning against Citroman, and that means he could join Visak in the lead with 4.5 points out of 5. And this essentially is the final game which formed another leader. So Aryan Chopra is also now at 4.5 points. I mean, thanks to this game. Bishop b3, queen b6, knight c3, knight c6. Yeah, this is, of course, highly theoretical line. So I think short castle is quite popular, if I'm not super terribly mistaken here. So I think it's something like short castle, what was it? Queen b2. I'm slightly confused, to be honest. And queen e1 at some point. Knight b5, was it? Yeah, I think I already mixed it up. I think it was something like, I think it was something like c takes and then queen b2. But there. So knight c6, knight a4 was played here by Aryan Chopra. Queen a5 check. The knight needs to be protected. That's why c3. c4, b4, and right. So this idea of sacrificing a piece on b4, it's very common. Because if you don't do that, let's say if you take en passant, take it, then white simply has the better possession. I mean, he has won the battle for the center, he has more space, and he has the open A file, right? So think about most like b4, knight c5, short castle, do something at A file. And here's the thing, right? If you don't do that, if you don't sacrifice the piece, and you play queen c7, again, black has lost the fight for the center. I mean, this gives black quite considerable space advantage. For example, let's say something like a short castle. I mean, I'm not really sure what black's supposed to develop here. Knight e7, perhaps, knight h4, f4, g4, f5, and black's position is slightly cramped. So that's why here black sacrificed a piece on b4. This is a very common motive. So take it, knight b4. This is a threat. This is a threat. Actually, the knight on a4 now is being targeted. Also, there's discovered check. So knight c5 was played. Check here. And black wins back some of the sacrifice material. So this is really odd position. To be honest, I have no idea how to properly evaluate it because white has two minor pieces for the rook, but black has two passed pawns at the queen side. So c pawn, b pawn, right, they could form a very powerful pawn chain. So either way, it appears that white understood the position better. Queen b5, a4, queen c6, knight h4, bishop goes here, a5. So that was played in the game. Knight e7, queen b2. Wait, did they miss that? Just a second. That's the double attack. So the bishop on c2 is attack. Also is the pawn on b7. Right, so queen b2, knight f5. Take. You know, I quite don't understand why queen b7 is not very good. Take. And the big point is rook b8. It's threatening some rook b1 ideas. I see that white has a6. Looks good to me. Maybe, I mean, definitely. I mean, Aryan Chopra was looking more deeply in the position. Perhaps something like short castle. He wins back the pawn on a6. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, he didn't like this position, but I don't see what's the problem. So he played a6, which I find to be slightly odd. And after b6, knight b7, short castle, knight e6. Now black has just two very strong passed pawns at the queen side, right? What I'm talking about, I'm talking even something like queen a6, put away the queen, a5, b4, c3. If those pawns are going to march forward, white is in trouble. I mean, visually, I already like black more. So that's why, again, I mean, I don't understand again. I mean, this entire sequence did actually look here blunder, queen b2. I mean, this was not really necessary. You could have played also b6 right away. Feels very natural because white probably couldn't really take it because the rook on a8 is opened and the white knight on c5 is targeted. So whatever happened here, after knight f5, take, a6, white decided not to take the pawn. And after b6, put the knight on d6, black played b5. And I guess white already had to go total desperado at the king side because, I mean, again, look at this position. Once those pawns start to march forward, I mean, white is in trouble, right? Yeah, hello everybody who is watching, of course. Hello. Thank you for the kind words. I see there's some questions also in the chat. I'm still reading what you're saying there. Yeah, Gukesh is playing tomorrow. Gukesh is not playing today. So actually today, the GMT players, they were on excursion. So visiting, what was it, St. Peter's Island? I also was there. I saw it, very nice. So had also a nice little chat with Gukesh about his career, etc. Approach towards the game, very interesting insights. And right, so what happened here in this game is that Aryan decided to go for a total berserk at the king side. h4, f6. Yeah, this, I guess black needs to do something, right? Otherwise, h5, h6. White's attack looks a bit strong. So after f6, h5, bishop goes away, h6. This looks really serious. This looks really serious. I mean, from time to time, I'm checking with an engine. I mean, especially when the game's being played. You know, otherwise, I'll tell you honestly, if I would look at some of the games without an engine, it would just take me three times more time to figure it out, right? So that's why sometimes I have a peek. I mean, what the engine is saying in some of the critical moves. I mean, today, right? Because I'm reviewing some of the played games, and it's difficult, for example, at this position, immediately give a proper evaluation. So, at least visually speaking, it looks that the king is weak, right? That I understand. And these pawns are not yet going anywhere, so that means white needs to create targets. So bishop f4 looks a strong idea. I mean, I guess he wants to take on f6 to protect the knight and play bishop b5. Looks very human to me. And f5, of course, white is going to open and take on f5 and get to the black king. So this looks already quite dangerous. So he took on f6, play bishop e5, as already said to you. Rook f8, bishop d1, rook d8, took on e8, and bishop c2. And, you know, the more you look at the position, you see that the black pawns, they're not going forward, they're stuck. They're stuck. I mean, they're just not going forward. They're supposed to roll forward. But white has these ideas like take on g6 and play h7. And how do you deal with this threat? So that's why I guess Mendonca lost the game. I mean, he didn't figure it out. So he played rook f7. Take it. Anyway, by the way, brilliant idea. Look at this. h7. You have to take, otherwise white just queens. And queen b1. Look at this. Queen b1. That's a checkmate idea, no? Queen b1. So there is no rook h1 because of queen g6, and that's a mate. Very powerful idea. So how do you stop it? How do you stop queen g6? So what happened here is that after queen b1, rook g7, queen c1. How do you stop this threat? If I switch on the engine, let me check what the engine is saying. Yeah, white is winning. Yeah, white is winning. To be honest, it looks dangerous, but I cannot immediately tell, right, without spending something like 5-10 minutes trying to figure it out. Queen b7, queen h6, queen h8, queen g... Yeah, just collect the rook. And that's it. Wow, another beautiful move. Queen g7, rook h7. He just slaughtered black. So once again, we go back. We go back to this entire sequence. I have no idea what was happening in the opening. This idea of b4, knight b4 is a common topic, right? This idea definitely exists. I've seen it before. So knight c2, knight a1, queen b5. All of this looks quite theoretical. And you can see it on the clock here. Chopra had more time than he started. 1 hour and 34. Black has 1 hour and 23. So, of course, they know this position. They know this. So, yeah, a4, here he spent a couple of minutes. Knight h4, a5 was a long think. And, yeah, I don't know why b6 wasn't chosen. And after queen b2, I guess the critical moment is about here. So, either way, whatever Mendonca, what he should have done, this entire sequence of queen a6 was a bit too slow. So after queen a6, h4, white's attack is too strong. So let me check with the ninja what he was supposed to do here. Rook b8. That's what the engine is saying here. And after h4, b4, ignore the pawn on a6 to win time. h5, and bishop d3. And if I take it, it's still not very clear. Yeah, then engine finds knight b7 and says that the white is better. Again, right? I mean, queen a6, knight c5, put the knight on c5, collect this pawn, combining with the attack. No, I mean, black is busted. To be honest, I look at this position, it's already quite clear, and black is in trouble. So what was Mendonca even supposed to do here? So once again, maybe a6, b6, knight b7 was just an amazing idea. So once again, let's try to play b5, g4, bishop here. Maybe not bishop g6, right? Maybe he should have played something like bishop d3. Bishop d3, take it so that white did not play h4, h5, gain time. And after something like king g2, now take on a6. Could be. For example, queen b5, take. How to evaluate this position is not very clear. a5, rook d1, Does black keep the pawn on d3 at all? Right? Rook b8, rook b3. Incredibly tricky game. Either way, a very sharp game between two Indian players, and Chopra was just the better player, I guess, right? He understood the position better, and I think already here, already at the queen a6, here Mendonca is in trouble. I mean, his idea was to push those pawns, right? But they never even moved. They never moved. So you see White is just playing at the king side. Bishop d1, brilliant idea. Maybe rook d8 was a mistake because White's idea all along was to play bishop c2, sacrifice on g6, and he sacrificed it anyway, right? Look at this sequence, h7 and queen b1, right? Incredibly powerful idea. I guess there's a mate pretty much inevitable. Maybe something like rook e7, take it. That's a mate on the board. So you can do that. And after rook g7, it also feels like a mate. Something similar to the game. Queen h8, queen g7, or maybe just queen h5, yeah. Queen h5, protect the pawn on g4. g5, g6 is incoming. This rook is busted. The standings. Can you check the standings for the Masters tournament? That's the question in the YouTube chat. Yeah, so the current standings after round 5, what I see is that Visak is 4.5 out of 5. Anand Pranav looks close to beat Sitaraman, and if he will do that, he'll also have 4.5 out of 5. We'll go back to that game in a moment. And Chopra is 4.5 out of 5. I didn't get yet to check any other games, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. There's a question: was there a defense after bishop c2? No, there was no defense. I think that visually looking, with some help of the engines, which I very quickly checked, I think after queen a6, black is just busted. I mean, it looks like that because White's attack is just too strong. He has two minor pieces. He opens the king. So maybe the entire idea, the entire idea was that he should have played bishop d3 here. So this bishop g6 allowed White to start a powerful idea h4, h5, h6, and then after that it was already very difficult for black to keep off the position. So who won the rapid? Let me check the results just a second. You could, of course, also check out the results yourselves. It's available. It's available in just results. Let me find it. There's so many tournaments. You have to apologize me because I find it a bit difficult to navigate. What is what? I cannot find it for some reason. Yeah, I'll have to get back to that later, all right? There's 15 tournaments. I'm not really sure what all of those acronyms really mean. Right, it's in chat, yeah. I already posted. I posted the link, so you're gonna have to figure out yourselves, right? I mean, you know, when you're here in Biel, I tell you honestly, I mean, here in Biel, there's something like 3 tournaments always at the same time going. There's several halls. There's the big hall, and in the big hall you have 2 tournaments. It's MTO, it's ATO. MTO is the Masters tournament. ATO is the Amateur Open tournament. Then on the first floor where I'm sitting, there is another hall. There's another tournament. So we have youngsters tournament. We have Swiss championships. We have ladies tournament. You know, sometimes it's difficult to keep track where's what's happening. But I'm gonna get back to that later. All right. So let me check what has happened in Pranav's game against Roman. Yeah, it's completely winning for White. Of course, yeah, because now you see the pawn on g4 also is gone. So here black pinned the knight on c4. So knight e5 is impossible. And knight g4, beautiful idea, simplifying the position. Because h takes, queen g4, knight e5, White is just up 2 pawns. And that's why Sitaraman didn't take it. He didn't take on g4. He played rook b5, Queen c6. Look at that, incredibly tactical. If I play h takes, just take on b5, of course. Yeah, rook on b5 is under attack. Knight h2. Couple of tricky moves. Yeah, I mean, knight e6 looks completely winning. Knight e2 looks completely winning. Maybe at some point white already snatched pawn on a5. The only thing which can give Roman some hope, it's the clock. It's the clock, because you look at the clock. Okay, now it's slightly changed. White has 6 minutes, and maybe in time trouble, he might misplay it. Of course, I hope he won't, right? Because he has been playing a wonderful game so far. But, I mean, position looks technically just winning. All right. Let's check very quickly how is Martirosyan doing against Casa Carle, because I thought this is going to be one of the biggest upsets. No, I'm not so sure about it. All right, they already finished in a draw. They already finished in a draw, actually. So last time we left it, it was rook d4, queen c3, rook d6, take on f6, king g3, and that's it. Rook d7, rook d6. White is incredibly active. So here, despite the fact that black has still an extra pawn, I mean, he cannot do anything, I guess. Something like rook c7 would allow white to play f5, king f4, king e5. Already black needs to be careful if black wants to push forward the c-pawn. That's why Casa, yeah, he had to repeat the possession here. So draw was agreed, but I would say that this is a major escape. This is a major escape for Martirosyan, because I was not sure if he's going to manage to escape. But that's what I told before also. To a feeling crew here is that that's why these strong players, they're so tricky. They never give up. They find these resources. And whatever happened here, h6, knight e6, knight h4, I didn't like this knight e4 at all, right? I felt that rook g8 should be the move. So once again, rook g8, knight f5, and just take on f4, right? Take, take. This is what I would have continued. And yeah, now after rook e1, rook g2, king h1, some kind of a move. I'm not really sure what exactly. Maybe rook e2. Yeah, this is what I last time looked. And white will still have to work very hard, try to make a draw. The GMT tournament, I see your questions in the chat. It's still not over. The GMT tournament is still not over, because today is a rest day for them. Today, the players and some of the organizing team, they went to the St. Peter's Island. It's a very beautiful island. Not only an island, but the entire lake. Biel Lake is a very beautiful location. And they had an excursion, had a great dinner. So today the GMT players are enjoying their rest day. And tomorrow they're going to be back with round 4 of the classical tournament. And also tomorrow we are going to be back, because once again, let me show you. I think it was, just a second, let me check it. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. You see the live stream schedule, what we have planned for you in the store. So today is Monday. Actually, I made it slightly late today. I apologize about that, because initially I was supposed to start at 4:30 Central European Summer Time. Due to the late excursion, I made it here half an hour later. But we are solely focusing on the MTO, what's happening there. And yeah, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central European Summer Time, we are back with the GMT. And from time to time, of course, we are going to try to have a peek in the MTO. We also want to what is happening there. There's so many great players. Again, just check out these players, right? Again, you see 2 players over 2,700. All of top 10 players are over 2,600. There's a lot of upsets. For example, Alexienko was beat in round 2 by an Indian player. Fedoseev lost. I think it was, which round was it? Let me check very quickly. Fedoseev lost in round 3 against Aryan Chopra. a lot of upsets. Martirosyan, I think he also lost in round 4. Situraman is about to lose. There's so many strong Indian players here. A lot of upsets. Very, very exciting stuff happening here. But we decided, yeah, mainly to continue on the GMT, which again is really, really amazing tournament. So in case you were wondering who is playing in the GMT here it is, right? Again, so it's Yesepenko, Andrei Yesepenko. It's Lekwang Liem. It's Salem Saleh, the leading Emirati Grandmaster. Gatakamsky, last year's triathlon winner. Vincent Keimer, the young chess superstar from Germany, one of the best players right now in the world under 18. Of course, the reigning world rapid champion, Nodirbek Abdusatorov. Arkady Nairich, my very, very former countryman from Riga who moved to Germany many years ago, but now he represents Azerbaijan. And, of course, Domaraju Gukesh, one of the youngest players in history of chess to reach 2700 in ELO, which he did in the round 3 of the classical tournament of the GMT by beating with the black color Lekwang Liem. So actually, he was also today in the excursion, enjoying really good time. So that's the lineup for the GMT. And right. So once again, the rankings of the MTO, they're not really official because the chess results is not updated. So I cannot show you that, but I already told you that most likely there's going to be 3 leaders. So it's Visak, already is a leader, 4.5 out of 5. Aryan Chopra, another Indian Grandmaster, 4.5 out of 5. Most likely it's going to be Pranav Anand, another international master from India, but he's playing 2700 basically here. So 4.5 out of 5, 3 leaders, and then we are going to have a pack of more players with 4 points. So what I suggest here is we could go try to pick up one of those games and see what happened there. So I see the top seed, Yu Yangyi. He has played in a draw. In the meantime, maybe what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the small board of Anand Pranav live so that you can follow what's happening there. This is what you're getting there. Pranav against Roman. It still remains on the live board. And I'll have a peek what happened the game of Viktor Erdos against Yu Yangyi. All right. So Sicilian Khan or Paulsen, whatever title you like it, b3. And this is quite unorthodox continuation. d6, bishop b2, knight f6, e5, very inspired chess, okay. Knight e5. I mean, usually I play like this with white color because I play this myself. I play like this when I'm looking for some improvised stuff, when I want to kick my opponent out of preparation. And that's when I play stuff like this. So the idea is to play the bishop b2, and then whatever black is going to respond, react accordingly in the center, and this bishop on b2 is a really tricky piece. So d6, knight f6. I mean, black can respond to this continuation a million ways, really, right? This is one of them. Bishop e7, yeah, there you go. Bishop d3, right? I mean, not very common when white in an opening puts the bishop in front of the d pawn. This is one of those occasions. Bishop d7, knight a3, yeah. Clearly freestyling. Yeah, I do agree. Clearly freestyling here is white. Knight a3, knight c6, knight c4, castle, castle. So white is doing great. He has the beautiful bishops here, thinking about some ideas on h7. You know, the first idea which would come to my mind at some point, I didn't say this is possible immediately. There might be some Lasker's idea. For example, take, check, take, queen g4, and then you need some kind of a rook on the third rank to checkmate black. But of course, I mean, it's easier said than done, and white is not ready to do that. But at some point, this idea of sacrificing the bishop h7, bishop g7, which is attributed towards the second world champion, Emanuel Lasker, can appear. So knight e4 was played, which makes perfect sense, right? So black closes the bishop on b2, at least one of the bishops. Rook e1, bishop e8, a bit mysterious move, but maybe black is preparing to play knight e7, and maybe push f6, push away the knight. Knight f3, knight c6, and knight e5. Okay, quite mysterious. Knight b4, so here black tries to get rid of this annoying bishop, which is creating black some problems. Bishop goes away. And now white probably is going to position the bishop back on d3 in a moment. No, he did not actually, that's interesting. Take, take. For some reason, he didn't want to play bishop d3. Maybe because of knight g4. Knight g4, take on f3, queen h2, this is something. Yeah, you need to evaluate, really tricky stuff. Also, there's bishop f6 incoming. So this must be the reason why white played knight e5, bishop e4, now there's no bishop d3, and after d3, rook d8. Yeah, now there's no bishop d3 anymore, so the position is about equal. So this is what happened. So white kept playing some improving moves, but the attacking chances were gone. And there was not much to see. Yeah, queen g5, bishop e7, queen h6, queen g5. The draw was agreed. So once again, I don't think there's actually a Sofia rule in the MTO. Last time I checked, there's no mention of it. Unless, I don't know what the organizers said to the players before they started the tournament, but in the regulations, there's no Sofia rule. So, but the game still repeated. I like this. I really like this approach, right? This b3, bishop b2, e5, knight e5, bishop d3. Very inspired stuff. So from the black's perspective, it looks like Yu Young-yi played slightly passive, but he was able to hold the game somehow. Still he doesn't have major weaknesses. I'm not really sure about this move, rook e1. I felt that maybe you want to include more pieces in the attack, something like a 4. Queen e1, queen g3 maybe. Also secure the e5 square for the knight. But either way, maybe it wasn't really much, right? So there was a lot of maneuvering here and there. Black was very precise, not to allow bishop e4, so bishop e4 was played. And he wanted to provoke d3 so that he can position the bishop back on either d5 or c6. Right. So that game's a draw. That was round 5, obviously, but board number 5. I saw, by the way, your questions in the chat. What's the overall rankings of the GMT? I can show you, right? But of course, today we are not watching the GMT so that you're not confused. I can show you, right? No problem, right? There you go. This is the overall rankings of the GMT because they have already played rapid tournament of 7 rounds. Yesterday, we are following their blitz tournament of 14 rounds. 7 rounds played twice between the same players. And it was won by Gata Kamsky. So Kamsky won the tournament with 8.5 points out of 14. But to be honest, the race was very, very, very narrow. So, something like 5-6 players could have won it. And a lot of players were within something like 1 point. So Gukesh was able to actually increase his lead in the tournament by, I think it was something like half a point. So 24 points for Gukesh, 22 for Wang Liem. Andrei Yespenko is still behind, but this is still very close. Again, to remind you, the scoring system of the GMT, it's 4 points. It's 4 points for the victory. So in the Blitz, it was just 1 point for the victory. In Classical, it's 4. So for example, let's say Salem Saleh wins the next game, he basically already overtakes the leader. If the leader loses, let's say the 4th place wins, he already is ahead. So that's why it seems like it's a big lead, but it's not. And there's still 4 rounds. 4 rounds to go. Anything can still happen. But I do believe that Gukesh is is still one of the favorites. And actually, I was trying to predict how the tournament might finish. I gave a prediction: Gukesh first, like Mongolian second, and I guessed that maybe Salem Saleh is third. But I might be also Yesipenko in top three. I'm not really sure, but I think Gukesh looks very good at the moment to take down the GMT. All right. So those are the rankings, and let's check maybe further games while we still have time. Maybe we are also going to have some guests here in the studio today. So once again, today we have a short day, right? Specifically for the MTO, every day at usually at 2 p.m. we are live for the GMT, but today is a special day because we are just solely following the MTO. All right. So Erdos against Yu Yang, we followed. Maybe Kirill Alexienko against Sergei Azarov. This is interesting because the former candidates player started rather slow because Kirill, of course, he had a very good streak of results. Which year was it? I mean, I'm afraid to not remember correctly. Maybe it was year 2019, 2020. I mean, about that time. Because that was the time of the previous candidate cycle, which of course was hit by COVID, all of the issues, you already know that. And Kirill had very good results at that time. So he finished in third place in the Grand Swiss in Isle of Man, which placed him directly after Magnus Carlsen and Fabio Caruana. Again, I'm telling this from the memory. And then he had a very good run in the FIDE World Cup. He got to the quarterfinal, I think, and that allowed him to be nominated for the candidates tournament. So, yeah. Now, ever since he's been trying to regain the form, so Alexienko had a tough start. He lost in the second round against another Indian player. But he is fighting back. He's fighting back. There's a question. Is RB Ramesh in Biel? I haven't seen him. To be honest. There's so many Indian players here. I haven't seen Ramesh here. Maybe he is. Maybe he's secretly coaching. I don't know. All right. So it's Ra Lopez. Bishop e7, rook e1. This is top-notch theory. Looks completely normal to me. b5, bishop b3, d6. Now, black is threatening to eliminate this Ra Lopez bishop, so you want to keep it alive. c3. Another option is play a4. So c3, short castle, h3. Otherwise, bishop g4 is going to be a problem before d4. H3 is played. d4 and bishop b7. Actually, here it's quite interesting because black sometimes invites for a repetition of the position. Rook e8, invitation to the Zaitsev operation with bishop f8. Knight g5 here, knight f3, bishop e7, knight g5. This already has been repeated pretty much a million times before if white is not interested for a fight. I'm sure that Azarov would accept. Either way, rook e8, of course, Alexienko was not interested in draw. d4, bishop e7, knight e2, bishop f8. So we have Zaitsev, bishop c2, rook c8. Look at that. I mean, I haven't really followed the latest trends of the Zaitsev. I'm not sure why rook c8 has to be played, but the general idea so that you have a better clue of where the Zaitsev often is leading. The idea is that, where was this once again? Bishop f8, here, that usually they're aiming for this position. That's the idea. I mean, this is usually a black setup. He tries to play it in a way so that it's Benoni. He tries to position the bishop on g7. Think about moves like c4, knight e3, etc. But of course, you need to watch out for this knight. a3 might be a problem enough if you play something like c4, a3, knight e3. Then in the end, maybe black just loses the pawn for nothing. Right? So it's not really so simple. And that's the reason why this bishop c2 is actually pretty smart. And let's say here, if white plays something like, what was it, a4? h6. Yeah, I think it was like this. Yeah, bishop c2, c takes, knight b4, bishop b1, c5, d5, rook a3. I mean, you would have to look at some of the legendary games. Garry Kasparov against Anatoly Karpov. Think of the World Championship match level, right? I mean, this has been around for forever, basically. So there was this famous game 20 of the match of 1990, I think. So 1975 was played by Karpov at a time where Kasparov was able to secure a very, very impressive victory. I mean, major theory, obviously. So why I'm telling this? I mean, rook c8. I have no clue what this is, to be honest. I mean, maybe it's some kind of a waiting move. So this rook on c8 sometimes is useful. There might have been some latest trends which I haven't really followed. So b3 is very common. B3 maneuver is very common for mainly for the Breyer systems. When black repositions the knight on b8, puts it on d7, that white somehow tries to play bishop b2, rook c1, maybe c4 at the right time. And if you're not really impressed by these bishops, they're going to be activated. So what happened here, Azarov played b4, which, I'll tell you honestly, it makes a weird impression together with rook c8, but chess is really concrete. And I guess the idea of d5, because what we would love to snatch the pawn is black has intermezzo and black has the intermezzo. So you cannot take on b7 because black is a bit faster. I mean, that's the entire idea. Why does b4 work specifically here? And of course, if the c pawn goes away, then black just collects the pawn on d4. So bishop b2 was played. Take it, take it. Take it, take it. And knight e5. Yeah, this was played by black. Not sure. I mean, I wonder why not play knight e4. Knight e4, g6, activate the bishop. Right? But, I mean, still, white can proceed something similar in the game. Something like b4, bishop a4. Looks rather unpleasant for black. Maybe this rook on e8 is difficult to defend. So something like c5, take it. No, but black should be okay. Yeah, black should be okay. Bishop c3, knight c4, maybe white has good pieces. Either c file, protect the center somehow, or push e5. But I don't really imagine black to be really suffering here. So either way, knight e5 was played by Belarusian grandmaster. b4. I guess the idea is to play bishop a4, activate the bishop. g6, ignoring the threat. And after bishop a4, c6. So this is played by Azarov. Knight f3, knight e7, take it, and knight b3. Yeah, about here, I think it's already quite clear that black is worse. Absolutely, because, I mean, you have some weaknesses here. Knight f5 is incoming. Bishop g7 maybe is too slow. Because also white might be thinking about ideas like f4, take on g7, queen d4. So position already is looking really, really unpleasant. So instead, Azarov played bishop h6, stopping f4, which makes sense, but it at the same time feels a bit passive. Because it's not really clear what the bishop is doing on this diagonal, right? I would imagine you need to watch out for this diagonal as well. I mean, maybe it's really difficult to suggest something good. So knight a5, here, queen e2. Now this pawn on a6 is under attack. Rook d1, normal developing moves by Alexienko. Bishop e3, and white is slowly increasing the pressure. So there's a lot of threats. Maybe g3, king g2, f4 could be one of them. Maybe at some point white is threatened to take on e5. The pawn on f7 could be involved in some tactical skirmishes. So bishop g7, Azarov decided to step back. King h1, just in case not to miss any checks on f3. c5, queen e3, queen c7, and there you go. White started a king's head attack. So after a couple of moves, c takes, bishop b4, knight c6, take, take, queen d3. I mean, I actually find it to be surprising that the game finished only in 4 moves. So the pawn on a6 is under attack. I see that Azarov had 3 minutes on the clock. Queen b7, double attack. I mean, okay, pawn on e4 is protected. Take it. e5. Bishop takes and king h2. Wait, he resigned? Or he lost on time? What happened here? I mean, it doesn't look so bad. I mean, definitely black is slightly suffering, right? So this bishop on b3 is very strong. Also, bishop d6, e takes on d6. I don't think this is really possible because it allows white at some point to play rook e7, get to the pawn on f7. But I don't really get it. I mean, why resign, right? So I have a couple of theories here. So theory number 1, he lost on time. Theory number 2, they're missing moves. Choose. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure really what happened here. I have the score. Let me check the official results. I don't have any official result of this game, but we are not receiving any moves. I mean, maybe there are more moves being made, but could be. Right, and before we are going to continue, we are going to make a short break. We are going to have another guest here in the studio. I mean, not another guest, actually. Today is going to be the first guest in the studio because we had a lot of guests in the previous days, the GMT. Kase Carly is going to join us. He did not manage to beat Haik Martirosyan, but we are going to make a break of something like, I'm not really sure, let me think, something like 5 minutes. So in something like 5 minutes, one of the MTO participants is going to be here in the studio with me and talk a little about his game against Haik Martirosyan. How does it feel to be in Biel? What does it mean for him to be a chess player, about his activities, and any other questions you might ask him. Don't go anywhere. Hope you like it, and see you in a moment. We're back. We're back, and here from Biel, and I have a special guest, Costa Carla, international master, Danish American descent, and you just had quite an interesting game against one of the tournament favorites, Haik Martirosyan, who is one of the strongest Armenian young grandmasters, and you were very, very close to score a major upset of round 5. Perhaps, Kasa, tell what happened in your game.
Yeah, I basically blew it. I mean, I mean, if we're being honest about it, I played a pretty good game. I got exactly what I wanted from the game. I think, in terms of the way my games usually work, the longer it goes, the better chance I have to win, and I can slowly outplay people. And that's kind of what happened. I got a Carlsbad structure and essentially kind of outmaneuvered Hike and on the king side, and eventually he just had a bunch of weak pawns, and so it would have been nice to put him away, but you live to fight another day.
Right, so maybe you could show us in sort of like a couple of minutes the most critical moments. Yeah, here you see, you can move those games.
Sure, so I guess I'll just go through very quickly. It's like this way to kind of A6 trying to get a Carlsbad structure, and this is all pretty well known. Yeah, Queen B3 is this interesting nuance people have been doing to try and press the B7 pawn. You obviously don't want to go B6 and weaken some diagonals, and I thought knight B7 is pretty interesting. So E3 without giving away too much in preparation. So anyway, so E3, bishop D6, bishop D3, castles. I mean, white can take the pawn.
Right.
But there are consequences.
There's consequences like rook b8, rook b2, I guess.
Yeah, there's some other things, actually.
Some other things as well. Okay,
yeah,
so it's a secret.
I might get to do this again. So anyway, so castles, and queen b8, bishop f4.
Queen b8 is still preparation.
Honestly, yes.
Okay.
Bishop f4 is the best move. So I was, at least this is the one I was looking at. And yeah, it's very typical because you don't want to allow EF this. Can I do arrows here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this
right,
EF5 stuff is kind of, you don't want to really deal with it, and sometimes there's this knight E5 as well.
Right.
So just anchoring everything. So yeah, so C6 is nice, and this position I don't think has been, this specific position has been played before, I don't think, but the point is that after the exchange, B7's not hanging. Mm-hmm. So white is still, obviously has a normal advantage, but there's some small achievement in training those dark square bishops. I mean, and a lot of normal Carlsbads, black's having to go knight h5 and then back to do that kind of alpha zero style. So have done it in a natural way and not wasted the tempo with the knight is nice. And then this move h3 is very natural, and I think the computer likes it, but in the Carlsbad structures, I mean, I've actually given many lectures about this, and I always find h3 to be a very risky decision long term because you have hook opportunities.
Right.
So anyway, so yeah, rook f8, queen c2. I won't tell you where it was a new position for me.
All right.
Anyway, we get some maneuvering, and yeah, I thought that knight e5 was a strange decision, honestly. I didn't think it was particularly justified. When normally you do this, you're going to try to go f4, but honestly, playing on the king side is not to white's benefit. I don't think so. I think playing for like b5 or some rook fc1 or some dynamic on the queen side. So because after knight fd7, f4 f6, all of a sudden e3 is just going to be weak long term. So.
Right. So what do you think what happened? I mean, did Kaik overestimate his chances? He miscalculated something because now after f6, knight f3, after a couple of moves later, it was already quite obvious he created this weakness on f3 for no good reason. What happened? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was a bit lower rated. I'm known to play pretty well against higher rated opponents, to be honest. So anyway, I think he kind of was thinking that if he sort of stormed on the king side, that there was going to be an attack, and or that I would fold, frankly. And maybe he was just counting on this g4 idea, which he actually got. But yeah, I think it's much more prudent to just play on the queen side. And I mean, the Carlsbad the Carlsbad structures are pretty resilient, right? I mean, I think like before I was born, like 30, 40 years ago, they were A4, B5, and Karpov style was like the end of the world. In fact, I never wanted to play Carlsbad structures growing up because I thought it was like are just going to get rolled over. And you just learn there's so many resources. You could take on b5 and play c5. You can sometimes take on b5 and play a5. You can sometimes even allow the capture on c6 and start initiative on the king side. And sometimes you can alpha 0 h5 h4. So there's all these resources, and so I'm not a huge believer in the white side, to be honest, but anymore. But anyways, so yeah, bishop f7. Yeah, rook e1. And I think maybe he was thinking of e4 all the time. Like, this is what I was concerned about. Like, maybe my queen on d6 is a bit exposed. And so he was thinking that, like, he takes on e4, there's going to be some valuable tempos gained.
So he wanted to play e4, and at some point later he realized e4 is simply not possible.
That's my feeling. Or
Right.
maybe he had this g4 or g5 idea the whole time. I mean, either way, I mean, it's not like white is like, it's not like any black is better or anything. It just it's not an easy position to play, I feel like. So anyway, yeah, I went knight b6, just trying to give my queen some luft essentially, because I thought these queen f4, knight e5 or knight g5 ideas, if e4 happens, is not desirable.
Right.
And then yeah, he went queen d2, which was surprising to me because I didn't think queen takes f4 was ever really a serious idea. Like if he gets knight e5 with tempo, it felt dubious.
So actually he tried to defend from something that you didn't intend, in a simple language. Yeah.
Frankly, yeah.
I understand.
So I was happy to, okay, queen d8 is what I was going to do anyway to get out of the e4 square, and then g4. And okay, I actually had I only realized that g4 was kind of a thing until after he played queen d2. Because at that point, e4 didn't make sense anymore. I had such good control with the bishop on f7 and the knight on b6 that g4 had to be the plan. And I was like, oh, he's going to try to reestablish.
So that's the idea, yeah?
He's going to try to reestablish the knight on e5. Like, this makes perfect sense. But I honestly, I was like, cool. Like, if you're not going to play e4, like, e3 is just a backward pawn. Like, I can work with this. So I went knight c8, and I think this one is... this is probably my favorite move of the game.
Of the cast, but I also think, right, knight c8, knight a6, the knight on d6 is the general belief the knight belongs on d6, with the pawns on b7, c6, d5.
It's just gorgeous, shows up everything. You got access to all the business squares. So yeah, I was really happy with that. But the question was what to do with g5, because this is clearly the plan now. And so this is actually sort of a critical moment, and I was thinking about, I knew I was going to get knight d6 and then answer the question, but I was thinking about, okay, well, if I take with the queen, the knight is established on e5, and I could play bishop e6, bishop f5, and I don't think I'm doing too poorly.
You can show it, actually, because we can always refresh.
Yeah, so queen f6, knight e5, I figured, and then I think bishop e6, maybe king h2 or something. I thought this was fine as well, but it is a bit annoying that I'd have to tolerate the knight. At least.
Yeah, the knight on e5 is a beast.
Right. I don't think it's honestly, I think I can play around it, frankly. Like, I think I could go knight e6, g6, knight g7, establish a knight on f5, and I just find it very tricky for white to break through, even with the knight on e5. But a piece like that in your camp, I mean, why would you know, why allow someone to kick their feet up on your sofa? So basically I was like, you know what, let me do gf6. And I know this looks kind of like maybe you can consider it kind of questionable in some way, but I really like the control that this one gives. So king h2, bishop g6. Now I just need to exchange pieces and things should kind of work out.
So at which moment did you realize that you're taking over the game? Do you have a feeling like, oh, this is the moment when you made a mistake, right? Did you have this particular moment when you felt this is the turning moment?
Oh, well, I mean, so I still didn't think I had I still thought it was about equal. I just thought that it was, that, you know, the longer the game goes now, the better chance black's going to have to win.
Right.
Like, if white has to be fast, or, like, there are going to be huge problems. So that was kind of how I weighed. I wasn't super, I've tried recently to be less optimistic, because I think sometimes emotionally, you know, you get too optimistic, you make poor decisions, and so try to be a bit more rational. But I mean, what do you think this is? Do you think this is didn't think it was better for black already.
No, I think that you are about to take over the game because I see you have some very clear ideas like weakness on e4, c4, but it's white who needs to be very, very, prove what he actually
Right.
casts for those weaknesses. I think white can misplay this position, get worse a lot faster than you can get worse.
Very easily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so my only concern at this point was like, try to trade some pieces and watch my time. So,
Right.
So knight e2, and yeah, this idea I actually missed. I think Hike did spend a little while here, but it made a lot of sense, like fighting for the f5 square, transferring the knight, like trying to get some attacking prospects. The knight on c3 is always the problem piece.
Right.
In fact, actually, just really quickly back here, so after b4, one thing I was thinking about was, you always have to weigh whether b5 is legitimate or not, because the knight on c3 is so compromised that sometimes you can install the knight to c4 quickly. But I figured it was kind of a risky play. Like I thought there's maybe like knight e2, knight f4, but anyway, something I thought about, and you always think about it when the knight's on c3 playing b5. But
Right.
anyway, so back to the
Yeah, wherever it
game.
was, you can just move forward, I guess.
Yeah, so knight e2, I took on d3, and yeah, basically my issue is that I saw this knight g3, knight h4 idea, like he's going to get this knight to g3, this knight to h4, so I was like, how do I deal with that? And I wanted to always play rook g7, but I didn't like the idea of the knight being stuck, because the knight really needs that square.
Right.
So so that's why I took and played knight e6, which I thought was just the safest choice. And then he checked, and then knight g7, knight g3, king h8. And yeah, I've controlled f5 well enough. And then knight h4, and I was like, oh man, like still, like I have to fight for this more. Because what I was bothered by here was if I play rook e7, I saw this line where there's rook e7, knight f5, takes, queen takes, and rook e3, queen g4, and it's just over, I think.
If I play rook e7, is there a mate? Rook e to e7.
Okay, maybe it's not over.
Maybe it's not over, no?
I didn't see rook e7.
Okay, so it was playable.
Okay. But okay, the position I got in the game was...
I mean, he doesn't have to do that anyway. He doesn't have to play knight f5.
No, okay, no. But
Sure.
But basically I was so wary of the f5 square that I went queen c8.
Right.
I was so wary of it. I was like, you know what, like, let me shut that down. And I like queen c8 too because it means that I could have queen d7 got in the way of the rook, basically. So rook queen d1, rook c7. I think he was trying to transfer the queen, but queen d1 seems rude to me. And then queen f3. And then, yeah, here I was actually thinking, okay, like, do I want... Here I realized, okay, I can't be worse. I have really good pieces. Like, so this was the first moment where I was like, do I want to equalize or play for the win?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, we're
You want to play
win
for the
this
win,
one.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Sure.
I hate draws. I really do. So anyway, so knight c4, I thought made sense, and now the queen's controlling f5. So, and then e4.
Did he blunder 92? I kind of didn't understand it, or miscalculated something. What?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was a bit lower on time here, so I was kind of playing move by move more so than like I saw if e4 knight d2, and then I'll figure it out from there. Like I can't be worse, right? So, but I don't know. I mean, is there another efficient way to defend e3? Doesn't look.
Knight f1 is incredibly passive, right? Knight f1.
I mean, that's gonna lose. Yeah, knight f1,
sure.
knight f1, knight f5. I thought,
yeah.
and then he has no counterplay.
Right.
But yeah, so e4, knight d2. I don't think he's lost here, to be honest. It's just bad. Queen g2, knight takes, and I thought here, and I've realized I have queen c7 in this position.
You didn't? Did you see it from afar? Or
No.
You realized here.
No,
So
I thought
you
it-
intended like d takes on e4, and then you saw maybe I can do something else.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
I saw I had a pin, so maybe there's a move. Like.
Right.
My calculation is very bad. Just FYI, and you'll see it in a few
Yes.
minutes. So anyway, so queen c7. I was so happy to see this because I was like, wow, does this really work? And there were some tricks too because one thing is I had to, with low time, I had to realize that queen d7. I'm sorry, knight d6.
Wow,
Queen
what a
takes d6
trick.
loses.
Yeah. Queen
because
d6, Queen
Queen
g7.
G7, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
And so I was like, you know what? Let me not fall for this. But I was like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
I was like, geez. And then, yeah, there was a similar dynamic. If no, there wasn't. So if knight f6, I have queen f4, in addition to having
Right.
no rook e1 first.
After
Actually,
knight d6, you just take on e1, right? And the white loses.
yeah.
Exactly.
So so that was what I was going to do. And after knight e8, I have queen f4 check, which is a nice intermediate, winning the second pawn. So so after knight takes e4. Queen c7. I think the best move is actually knight f6. This is what I looked at. And I thought queen takes f4, king h1, queen f6. And I didn't think this was lost, honestly. Like, it looks really terrible, but there was something here that was bothering me.
Maybe just trade the rooks to play knight f3. I mean, you still have to work very hard to prove it.
Yeah, maybe it was putting the knight on e5. I just, something about my king felt a bit airy here.
Right.
I know White's king is not like...
Knight f5 doesn't work, right? I mean, it's too much. I mean, at some point, I'm not really sure. Maybe not knight f5 right away, or take on e7, knight f5, maybe some tactical tricks which might be similar to one you showed before, but probably not.
Yeah, I think probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. But looks funny.
So I mean, I was so happy to see this. So anyway, so queen c7, queen g4 is played, and okay, now it's like, it's winning time. So I took on e4, rook takes e4, d takes e4, and yeah, I mean, I'm a clear pawn up. White's king is compromised. Yeah, it should be a win. So knight g2, f5, I thought was, yeah, I was, again, low on time here, or maybe not, okay, maybe not that low, but
10 minutes, still okay.
But I was really wondering here if I should go knight e6, because the thing I hated about f5 is I'm compromising my knight at least temporarily, and attacking d4, maybe rook g8, because I just hated this knight on g7. So maybe knight e6 was better, but f5, queen d6 I thought was reasonable enough.
Right.
And then rook d8, and I'm at the control. I went to the bathroom. I was like, cool.
No, so far I think you play pretty much flawless. So yeah, this rook d1, queen f6. So I didn't understand what happened here. So when you go back to this moment, yeah, further queen c4, you apply the pressure against the pawn on d4, and you took the knight on d4, knight takes on d4.
Yeah, basically, I mean, this was kind of to me, a position where like we repeated once, and what was bothering me is I just didn't like d5 check happening all the time. So the whole thing that was bothering me is like, how do I deal with this? Do I allow d5 check and becomes messy, or do I give my king the h7 square? And I think there's many ways to do it, but in hindsight, I wish I went for I went queen f6. I wish I went for knight e6. I rejected this because of d5. And yeah, this shouldn't be a concern.
I guess the point is you're not sure if the position after the couple trades on d5 is winning, right? Because the knight goes to e3.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't have to trade. Like, I can go knight c7 probably, and I was worried about the pawn coming like this. So this is why I was kind of held back.
Right. Rook d1, c takes on b7. Maybe this pawn somewhere is, advancing.
But now I'm thinking about it. I can just go rook g8.
Wow. And if I take on b7, is there a mate?
Oh no, I'm thinking that there's something like that. No, there's queen d4.
There's queen d4, right? Yeah. Actually, you're right. Maybe this d takes on take on b7 looks pretty
But
dangerous.
this is why I was just like, no counterplay, and so so I repeated and played h6, but also knight h5 looks like it's possible, right?
And what about the check on d5?
And there's king g8. But the reason I rejected this was I just was wary of a move like rook g1, but there's no discovery check that is a concern. I just take it.
Yeah. But does it look like a position which gives a white no counterplay? It looks quite risky, no?
Yeah, that was the feeling.
Right.
So, but sometimes you just gotta win. You just gotta do it. So anyway, so queen g3, and then here I just made. So I'll tell you what, I played knight e6, and I know as soon as I moved, I realized.
Yeah, but what about this knight h4? I'm not really sure because I was a bit surprised you took on d4. I mean, knight e6, right? Knight h4. Why not rook g8? What do you like there?
So knight f5.
and queen f4. I tried to calculate it very quickly. I wasn't sure if White is going to try to keep the position together. Maybe he keeps it. I mean, take
I think this is probably the way I should have gone, but I didn't like rook f1 here.
Rook f1. That's only if I play knight d5. He takes on h6, right?
Yeah.
Rook f1.
But I think what I should have. I think this line is fine. Probably winning if I go rook g3 first.
Knight e6, and you take on h3, right?
Right, that's
oh, f5, knight f4, yeah,
Right,
or knight
yeah.
g5, yeah.
Yeah.
That looks very promising, yeah. So I don't think White has the time to take the pawn on b7. Probably
no,
not.
No, yeah, no. And I again, I'm looking at these lines and I just make a terrible decision because I wanted to win right away. Like, what I missed though. So why I played knight e6 and allowed knight h4 was because I wanted to play, knight takes d4, which I did, and what I missed was after knight f. Oh no, hold on. What was it? No, yeah, knight f5. I wanted to play rook g8.
Right.
And after knight f5, I didn't want to go for that endgame. I wanted to go queen d5, and then I realized because queen g8.
Oh, otherwise everything works, right?
Yeah, because I have queen a2 otherwise. So if he goes
right.
like queen anywhere, just a2.
So it was like that. You were about to make the move. It's like, oh, there's queen g8. No? Yeah. Oh, but at least you noticed that. Otherwise, it would be really, really painful.
Yeah, and then there was another thing I noticed too. That was like after like rook g8, knight f5. I thought queen f8, and then queen h4, and my knight e6 is hanging.
Queen f5, queen h6, queen h7, queen e6. Maybe you can show it. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Take. Yeah, you have to do that.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It's just like, it's just unfortunate. That's what it is. So anyway, so I realized after knight. Oh, and this is the other one last thing actually is after the game continuation, from afar I had calculated knight f3, queen takes f3, and then queen d2, and I thought that, and I just missed that he can go
Queen g2.
Queen g2.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, like, I'm done for the day.
If you start missing things, right, this is not the best feeling, right?
But the thing that's so unfortunate is he gets to the best possible pawn down endgame, and I think objectively it's a draw.
Yeah, it is a draw.
And it's an easy one. So queen c there, I was like, he even has this. Because now after queen f4, king h1, I lose.
Yeah.
So just a huge missed opportunity, and I just decided to shut it down here. Because I mean, basically, so I actually did think about one more thing, because you can say, why did you repeat here up a pawn? I really wanted to try and sack my rook and allow e2, and get e2, but he has rook g6 check at the end.
Can you show the
so
line?
So like rook e7, f5, rook e5, king f4, e3, takes e2, and this is the move.
Yeah.
And so, and then the rook gets back with check. So, so again, disappointing to, draw the game, and I mean, it's really like a cold shower when it hits you. You gotta move on. I think that's
well, it happens. Still not so bad, right? But of course, missing a victory like that, it hurts. Well, Kasa, maybe tell something about how it's been so far for you here in Biel. What are your next plans? How are you enjoying being here so far?
Yeah, it's my first time in Switzerland actually. Oh. So everything has been new and fresh, which I like. Biel's very beautiful, very beautiful. I got to go up into the mountains yesterday. I've actually never played a tournament the rest day.
Oh,
so this was like, it was actually really cool to just experience that. And I mean, I'm playing a lot of chess lately because I'm trying to become a grandmaster. So I have 2 GM norms, and I'm trying to get the rating up and play a little bit better. So I'm stacking tournaments on top of each other. I played a tournament literally a day before this one started in New York.
Wow.
And then I flew to, or a day and a half before, and I flew here.
Had you no jet lag?
Well, I'm just trying to fight through it. And then, when this ends, I have a tournament in North Carolina on the 24th. That starts 24th. So I'm trying to like stack tournaments and just trying to become a better player. So I'll take the lessons. I mean, at the end of the day,
So today was a quite an important lesson, I guess.
yeah, I mean, it's been a common theme in my play, frankly, like not finishing. Like I'll have a lot of games where I'm playing all right for stretches of time, and my style is a war of attrition kind of long game style. So usually I'm not the one that should be faltering late, but you got to take it on the chin and move on. Basically, that's the best thing I could say.
Wise words by Gassa Carly, international master, representing Denmark, but American born. It was absolute pleasure to have you here with us in the studio. I wish you best of luck in the ongoing games here, the MTO tournament of Biel Chess Festival. We are going for a short break. We are going to be back in 5 minutes, recapping what happened in the round 5 of MTO. And we're back. We are back live from the Biel Chess Festival, which is well already underway. And the round 5 of the MTO basically has finished. We briefly had a couple of minutes ago Casa Carli, international master from America, here with us, and he explained his game about Haik Martirosyan missing a big chance to score a major upset of round 5. However, most of the games already have been finished, and you see this game we have on the board. Anand Pranav managed to beat his at least nominally stronger opponent, Sitaraman from India, and that means we are going to have 3 leaders after round 5 of MTO. It's Vitsakh, it's Anand Pranav and Aryan Chopra. 4.5 out of 5. We still don't have all of the official results because the results are being updated. However, I mean, in the evening, you could at least check all of the official standings in the official website of the Biel Chess Festival. So once again, I think we are very close already to wrap up the live coverage from here from Biel. Today was a slightly shorter day. Again, the GMT players today had a rest day. They were enjoying their one of the 2 rest days, and some of them went to the excursion to see the beautiful Lake Biel, also St. Peter's Island. Perhaps once again, let's review what is happening in the overall rankings of the GMT. So here we go. This is the current standings of the GMT. You see that the Maraju Gukesh is still in the lead of the GMT. Today they have rest day. Lekwang Liem is 2 points behind, 22 points. Andrei Yespenko is 20.5 points, and Salem Salehi is 20.5 points. However, they are receiving 4 points for the victory, 1.5 for a draw, and 0 for the loss. So this means everything can change very fast in the GMT tournament. And let me also try to bring up the pairings of, oh, sorry, that's the Blitzes tournament. Yeah, I forgot to, let me try to bring it up for the classical. I wanted to bring up what is happening in round 5 tomorrow. Round 4, my apologies. Oh, sorry. For some reason it didn't work. Right, either way. Either way. So here you see the overall rankings, and tomorrow round 5 is going to continue. I'll have to simply read what is happening tomorrow. So tomorrow we continue the action at 2 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Apologies about that. For some reason, the pairings didn't load. Hope you liked it. Hope you liked it. This very short stream, and tomorrow, as usual, we are going to be back at 2 p.m. Central European Summer Time. A long stream, usually 6-7 hours, depending on the length of the game. Again, they have in the GMT a long time control, 100 minutes for the 40 moves, 50 minutes for the next 20 moves. Then there's additional 15 minutes until the rest of the game. And of course, on top of that, plus 30 seconds. So tomorrow, I'll be back. Also, Angelika Volkova will be back. Thank you for watching today's stream. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and see you tomorrow.